everyone, this is Lori here with Lori Hooks. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me today. So this is a 20 questions video. Julie at KS Moms Creates tagged me to do this video, which thank you, Julie. Hello. And I think these videos are really fun. I like to learn about different people and, you know, where they started, where they come from, different things about them. So I think they're really fun, and I hope that you enjoy hanging out with me today and my video. So I have my questions here. I have a few items to show you here, and I'm going to jump right in. So the first question is, how old were you when you learned to crochet, and who taught you? So I learned to crochet when I was 20. I learned to knit before that, and I wasn't really interested in knitting. It was my grandmother who taught me, and I remember she taught me to knit. I made a few things. I started a sweater, which I'm going to get more into the sweater later. And I kept dropping stitches in the knitting, and it was annoying me. And because things have to be perfect, because that's the way that I often am, I stopped knitting it, and I kind of shoved it away. And then when she asked me about it, I said, you know, I don't think knitting is for me. I think maybe crocheting is for me. So she did actually give me a bunch of learning books, which is how I think she learned. But I didn't use the books. I did read through them a few times and flip through them and stuff. But that's not how I learned. I learned from her. Which goes into the second question, which was, what's the first thing you remember making? I asked her to teach me to crochet so that I could make a baby blanket for my son, who was my first. At the time, I didn't know what gender he was going to be, so I made a gender neutral blanket. And here it is. I believe these are just double crochets back and forth. And then I did this scalloped edge. So it's not from a pattern or anything. She just showed me how to do the stitches. We did a chain, decided the chain was long enough, showed me how to do the stitches. And then I went, after I had the bottom of the blanket done, I went back to see her, and she helped me with the edge, the border. My grandmother was a very nurturing, patient, kind of person. She liked things to be in its place and perfect. But when she did it, it was very, you know, you had to do it and you had to do it right. But at the same time, she did it in such a way that you didn't feel badly. And anyways, so she, you know, count. So after every row, you had to count. And, you know, it was for my new baby, so I wanted to be perfect. And so I think it's pretty perfect for a first item, that's for sure. That is my first item, and that's who taught me. And this is acrylic blanket. I remember buying the yarn for this. It must be acrylic because it's kind of, you know, I probably dried it in too hot of a dryer because it's a little bit melty, and it feels a little bit plasticky like acrylic does when it gets older, especially older acrylic. And yeah, so I am, to give it away, my son is now 26, so this blanket's about 26 years old. So I crocheted this then, and then I didn't crochet anything for quite some time. I did make some granny square type blankets, worked in the round, when I was probably in my 20s, early 30s. And then I didn't crochet at all other than those blankets, which I remember I made two. They were both like couch blanket size. I gave one to my brother and his wife when they got married, and I gave the other one to my mom. And other than that, I don't remember crocheting anything until about, I'm going to say it was about 5 years ago when I got back into it. So next question is, make a most proud of and why. So I'll show you my make a corner of the make I'm most proud of. I will try to remember to insert a picture of the whole thing. So this is just a corner of it. It is the Havana mosaic blanket, and I'm not going to attempt to pronounce her whole name. Her first name is Tina. And this was my very first very large item I made, and complicated what seemed complicated at the time, which wasn't complicated at all. But this was my first large item, and this thing weighs about 10 pounds. It is so heavy. When you go to pick it up, it is shocking how heavy it is. It is made with Caron cakes, the acrylic Caron cakes, and then the name, if I look it up, I'll find it. It's somewhere. It started with a J. It's got a funny name to it. And Caron Simply Soft was the other color that I used. And I did color control on the border, but on the blanket itself, I did not color control. But I will insert some pictures in here for you to see of that. What is the oldest ball of yarn in your stash? So this goes back to my grandmother again. When she taught me to knit, she bought me some yarn to make a sweater with that I never finished. So the partially knit sweater is, well, it was in a box. I took it out just recently, and it had been in a box in the closet of my spare room for years. But this is the yarn that she bought for it. It is Peyton's Beehive, Sheetland Chunky. And this is 75% acrylic, 25% wool. Distributed in the USA by Susan Bates. Made in Canada. Interesting. So Peyton's Beehive. So I would say I was probably, I was a teenager when we bought this. Like, I'm guessing probably about 15. That would be my guess, that it was about that age. I did learn to knit younger than that because I remember making scarves and putting them on my Barbies, which I did play Barbies till I was pretty old, so I probably wasn't much younger than 15. But this is my oldest yarn in my stash. Knife grip, pencil grip, or both. I am a pencil grip. I have tried to learn to knife grip because I thought that it would be easier on my hands, but I have not so far. I'm a pencil. Boye style, Susan Bates, or a hybrid. I think Boye style because the hooks that I use are most closest to that. I do have a Susan Bates hook, but it's the handles. I do like the hook part, but the handles aren't what works for me, so that's why I don't use them. Favorite brand of hooks, so that leads into that. My favorite hooks are my Clovers. That's what I lean to. I also, when it comes to really small hooks, I like the tulips. I like the hook on the tulip, but I like the handle on the Clover better. Although the hook on the Clover and the tulips are not much different from each other. They're very similar. But I do like the handle on the Clovers just a tiny bit better. Favorite hook size or range of sizes? I like a lot of different things. So my size range is pretty big. I have tulips at a 2.5, I think it is. I think it's 2.5 here. Yeah, my tulip 2.5. I use this one all the time for making gnomes and stuff like that with the Sheepy's Katona yarn. But I also use, which this is going to go into the next question, which is favorite weight of yarn. I like the Sheepy's Katona, which I think is a 2/8, probably. And I do like that, and I use this hook usually for that because it's for gnomes and stuff that you want to use a smaller hook. But I also like DK weight, and I also like 4 weight. I don't crochet very much with anything above a 4 weight. So my size range I would say is between 2.5 and maybe 6 millimeter. That's my biggest range. It's pretty rare for me to use a hook larger than that. Favorite yarn, fiber, and why? My favorites are acrylic and cotton. I like the washability. I admit, things that are hand washed in our house, they don't get hand washed. I put everything in the washing machine, either in the hand wash or the delicate cycle when it comes to my makes. I put them in on their own so that I can keep an eye on them, because if I put them in with everything else, then I would just totally forget that they were in there. So I do like a specific load of handmade items. I actually have a load in right now because my mother-in-law gave me, she asked me to wash a blanket that I made for her because her washer has an agitator in it and mine does not. So I like all my items to be easy to wash, easy to care for. I put them in the dryer for a few minutes to get the major part of the wet out, and then I usually lay them flat or lay them on something to dry the rest of the way. So that's my reason why I like acrylics and cottons, because I like a mixed cotton. Those are my go-tos. I started sock making recently, so that uses more wool. And the wool so far doesn't bother my hands, but I have to watch where it goes on my body because it's got too much wool on it, and like up here I get rashes and allergic reactions to things, so I have to watch wool items where I put them. Feature one of your favorite yarns. So I mentioned the Sheepy's Katona. I didn't get something out for this. I did mention the Sheepy's Katona earlier, which is one of my favorites. This is what Sheepy's Katona looks like. So it is, I believe, 100% mercerized cotton. Yes, 100% mercerized cotton. It is one of my favorites. I use it for, if you've been watching me before, I like to make gnomes with it. I've made other small, I want to say fancier, I don't know if that's the right word for it, amigurumis. That kind of thing. I don't use it for other things like wearables or anything. I haven't used it for that, but that's what I like to use this for. I like how it works up. I like how it feels. And this is one of my go-tos. That's that. Next question. Which is your favorite crochet item to make? This is a difficult question for me. I like making almost everything. I like making amigurumis. I like making blankets. I like making wearables. It's a difficult question for me because I don't really have a favorite amongst all those. I like doing all of them. Yeah, so sorry, I don't really have a favorite. I like doing all of those things though. Which crochet item do you dread making? Dread is a strong word. Probably my least favorite thing to make, and it sounds really silly, is the arms on the amigurumis. When you have to do like rounds and there's only like 6 or 10 stitches in the round, like this, that makes me crazy. They're so tight and they're so hard to get into. It takes me a long time. Like 2 of these arms, that's like an entire movie for me. They take me forever to make. So, and my hands hurt afterwards. I don't know why. I have trouble seeing the stitches. That's probably my most disliked item to make, but I like the outcome so much that I make them anyways. I tend to, one of those people that I do the parts that I don't like first. So although arms and stuff are often later on in the pattern, It's usually one of the first things that I do. What's one crochet item that you have yet to make? I have yet to make any type of lacy type item or a shawl. I've never used, well, I've used like lace weight or one fingering weight yarn for it, though it's not lace, it's not thread. I've used, you know, one weight for making socks, but I've never made anything with lace, and I've never made like a doily or a shawl. Although I have a shawl on my to-do list right now because I have some yarn that I was gifted that I won in a giveaway, and I really want to use it, so I actually have a pattern on my to-do list that I want to use that yarn with and make a shawl. Now, do I ever wear shawls? No. I have one, and I wore it once, and it was when I was a bridesmaid in a wedding, and it was given to wear. All us bridesmaids had matching shawls to wear on the day because it was a chilly day because it was March. Describe your color palette. Kind of like the items that I make, I'm not that picky on my color palette. If I was to, it kind of depends what I'm making it for as well. I do gravitate towards like the gray and black type neutrals, like gray, black, and other colors that mix in with them. That's kind of my go-to, especially with wearables, that kind of thing. My hand just automatically goes there, and because I'm trying to not wear black and gray all the time, I tend to push myself to buy other things so that I don't use it all the time. So as a silly example, when I get dressed in the morning, today I have a dress on, so that's not a good example, but even this dress, I remember buying it, I wanted the black one. I just automatically reached for the black one, and I was like, okay, this is a summer dress, the black's a hot color, you know, I had to force myself to pick something else, which this one's like a purpley blue. I've forgotten where I'm going with this. Okay, so this is favorite color palette. So I would say the gray black neutrals are my favorite, but I don't really like crocheting in black. When it comes to blankets and things, I like them to be more colorful, especially when I make them for other people. I do like the way that it looks and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time, if I'm making it for myself and my house, I just feel like it doesn't go with my decor unless it's, you know, black gray with like one pop out color like red, just as an example. I actually have a black gray, no, there's no black, there's gray, red, and white in it blanket that I have never finished. It's on my pile of things that I need to finish. Off on a tangent again, but that's me. Okay. What's your go-to crochet hack? I can't say that I really have one. I really like stitch markers. I use them a lot. What else? What's my other crochet hacks? I can't really think of anything else. I do a lot of counting. I count. It depends on my project. Some projects I count every row. Some projects I count every 2 or 3 rows. But I do a lot of counting because I don't like frogging because my count's off. Because I am a little OCD. If it's not perfect, I will frog it out to fix it. So I do a lot of counting. I can't really think of any other crochet hacks. Sorry. What are your thoughts on crochet currently being a trend and on crochet being mass-produced by online shops and clothing stores? So I can't say I've seen crochet mass-produced in a store myself. I don't go shopping very often. Maybe that's why. I've seen some stuff online. They were all, the things that I've seen online, they were all places that I would never shop from anyways, and I think the majority of people wouldn't shop there. I don't like the idea of things being mass produced and them looking like handmade items. I think that it you know, takes away the value of the things that we make and the time that we put into them. Just an example, my gnomes are on display. I had a few of my friends over for dinner a few weeks ago, and they come over and they look at my gnomes and, oh, you should sell these, they're so cute, blah 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 blah. So then the one of them, I said to her, and this was before everybody else arrived, it was just her and I at the time, and she's bugging me to sell them. She's wanting me to make one for her granddaughter. She's always asking me, you know, hinting at me strongly to make things for her. And so I said to her, you know, so if I was to sell it, what do you think that I should sell it for? And she didn't come up with a number. Instead, she asked me, well, how long does it take you to make it? And I said, okay, well, you know, I don't crochet that fast. And yeah, I watch TV while I crochet. So it's not like the time isn't really evaluated correctly. But, you know, a gnome is probably a good 5 evenings for me. That's probably 2 or 3 hours like of real crochet. Now when I say 2 or 3 hours, I probably sit in my chair and crochet for more like 3 or 4 every day, but not every day because some nights we do other things. But I often sit and crochet for, you know, 4 hours in an evening. It's just I watch TV and maybe have a snack while I do it. That, you know, we'll say, okay, so 2 hours, that was significant crochet time. Then when I said to her, you know, I probably have, you know, 8 hours put in this. What am I going to charge for it? She admitted then that selling didn't really make sense. And so that's the part that I don't really like about mass-produced things, is that they price it at a way that makes it seem like our, you know, what we make should be priced cheap, and it shouldn't be. And when you're gifted something that's handmade, you know, that a lot of love went into it, and I think that's the issue that I have with mass-produced. I do like the idea that you know, crochet items is coming more into trend. That you know, if you'd worn a handmade sweater, you know, a few years ago, you know, you kind of, oh, that's a granny sweater type thing. That's kind of the approach that people got with it. You know, it was okay for babies to wear handmade items, but us as adults to wear a handmade crocheted sweater kind of came off as being a granny item, which not having that opinion on it would be nice, and for them to be more on trend would be nice. Next question. Feature a pattern designer that you like and highlight one of their designs. So I'm going to go back to Tina. She's back to my Havana blanket, so I'll show you the corner again. I really like Tina's patterns. I tend to get bored with blankets, so I don't make that many. But I do really enjoy her patterns. I like her videos. I like the way that her patterns are written. She's the one that I'm going to pick for this. So highlighting one of their designs, I'm just going to mention the Havana again. I've also made her Casablanca and her Queen blanket. But the Havana is an awesome beginner mosaic pattern. It's even for a beginner crocheter. And I think that it's a wonderful pattern, and it's written wonderfully. like almost all patterns, you do need to read the entire pattern before you start. That is the one comment that I'm going to make, and that is a general rule for me, is I always tell people is read the full pattern before you start. What's the next pattern you want to make? There's a very, 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 very long list. But I did mention I have a cake of shawl type yarn that I want to use, and Tina recently put out a video. I think it's called her Kira shawl or Kyra shawl or something like that. I think it's spelled K-R-I-A, I think. So it's actually one of her older patterns, and it's a pretty basic pattern. And I think I'm going to make the shawl out of that, hopefully soon. Hopefully. Biggest tip for beginners. I've kind of mentioned quite a few things here. My other big tip for beginners is to have patience and forgive yourself. Crocheting is a process. Learning to crochet is a process. It's not something that you want to stress about. It's supposed to be the opposite. It's supposed to be relaxing and nice to just sit and crochet an item and to enjoy it. And at first, I don't think it's something that you really enjoy. It's something that you want to do because you want to make something, so you learn to do it. You know, I think that quickly it shouldn't be that way. It should be something that you enjoy. So, you know, I say to beginners, take your time, you know, and forgive yourself. If it's not perfect, it's okay. And one of the wonderful things about crochet is that when it's not perfect, you can frog it out and make something else. Or, you know, sometimes keeping your oddly made item is a good idea because it kind of teaches you where you came from and where you're at. And yeah, so that's my tips for beginners. So I should tag some other people. So I'm going to tag 3 people. If I haven't tagged you and you want to do the tag, please feel welcome to do it. I think it's a fun tag, and I like hearing from people and you know, where they came from, where they are, what they're interested in, I really like these type of videos. That's just me. So the people that I'm going to tag, I don't know if they're going to see all these, but these are people who, you know, I'm interested in their answers. Some of them have been around for a long time, and I haven't really, maybe I've been following them for that long, not that long, so I don't know where they came from really, or whatever, that I'm interested to hear the answers. So the first one I'm going to mention is Rebecca at Yarn and Pajamas. You know, I've been following her since, I think, pretty much her very beginning, since she first came on YouTube, but I can't remember her talking a lot about some of these questions, so I'm interested to hear her answers. This next one's a stretch. I don't know if she'll see my tag, but Pamela at Pamela's Adoring Crochet. She's been around a lot longer than I've been following her, so maybe she's answered a lot of these questions and I just haven't seen it, because I don't really know where she came from. And the next one I'm going to tag is Abby at Blue Heart Crochet, partially because I, again, don't know how she's going to answer some of these questions, and partially because I like her videos and I like listening to her talk and hearing what she has to say. So if you are not following any of these 3 ladies, please check them out. I enjoy all of their channels. And as I said, if you're a YouTuber and you want to make a video with your answers, I would Love to hear them. So comment below that you made the video, and I love to go and check out your channel and hear it, see it. And if you want to chat about some of the answers that I had or comment on some of these answers, I'd love to hear from you as well in the comments. So I will put the questions in the description box below, and I will see you next time on Lori Hooks. Take care. Bye.